Hello everybody, how are you? Right, so what I'm going to talk about tonight? Let's do. We're going to let's talk about getting into like some proper study. I think we're going to look at some Paganini. Oh, that was a bit of a curveball for you, wasn't it? Where did that come from? Well, I mean, the thing is, I don't know. I mean, is it like, do you read music? I mean, I've kind of, I mean, I used to know how to read music, and then I sort of forgot, and then I taught myself how to read again. But I think one of the issues of the guitar, which I think has been an issue, is you end up with being what's known as a copy of a copy of a copy. And if we actually go back to people like Niccolo Paganini, the so-called the virtuosos of the like the 19th century, that a lot of the legend precedes them. That sometimes when you actually get to it, you think, well, maybe it's not that tricky. I mean, compared with, like you hear things about some of those Frank Zappa, those Black Page stories, where it's just so densely written. Is it like that? I mean, is complicated necessarily better? And then there's other things like the myths of how he supposedly made a pact with the devil, sold his soul for this great virtuosic talent, which I don't think is actually true. There's other things as well. One thing which runs throughout a lot of the 19th century, like what's known as Gothic, whether that be architecture, art, literature, music. This idea of like sort of spanning different time periods, so that you're listening. Well, it's like in a musical form. So you're listening, and you're almost like you're being taken back in time. You're being taken on this journey. Say like throughout, like the whole history of music. And in Paganini's case, it'll be like the whole history of like the violin. Like from the Baroque to the classical to the Romantic, etc., etc. So I think I'm going to get to the point. I've been planning on doing a series on these caprices, because when you actually get to them, when you actually get back to the source, you realise there's a lot of good stuff in here. And from what I've been reading, I got a feeling that Paganini wasn't all that great on practicing. And not necessarily because he was lazy, but I think more along the lines of if you're a touring musician, you haven't even in the 19th century, you haven't got a lot of time. You haven't got your 8 hours a day for practicing. But in his younger days, maybe he did. So let's suppose, like in his younger days, he'd elevated himself to this point of eclipsing all his teachers, and all these other great masters, like Kreutzer and Wieniawski and so on. Well, I think what he wanted to do was just to get himself like a set of pieces where he could just pick these up, play through them, and then he'd just bring his technique up to where it needed to be. I think as you get older, you'll find that once your knowledge has reached a certain level, that yes, you are actively learning, but it's more about just bringing yourself back. Maybe if you got a bit rusty, it's bringing yourself back up to that level. And so even just like sort of say 20 minutes a day, just playing on something sort of tough, challenging like this, then it can actually really help. If it's proper directed practice, you can actually get a lot out of it. So anyway, I'm going on a bit. Yes, you are. Yes, yeah, I can hear you say. Yeah. So So tonight, because it's probably like the most famous of the 24 Caprices, I thought we'd actually look at number 24. And I'll talk a little bit about it to begin with. So it's a theme. There's 11 variations on that theme, and then there's a finale. So the plan is that I'm going to split it into 4 parts. So tonight what I'm going to work on is like the main theme, variation 1, variation 2, and then if this does okay, then I might come back and do the remaining variations and the finale, and then we can actually see how ropey my technique is. And if you'd like to follow along and you have any pointers, then that'd be great as well. So we start out with the theme. Now it's always important when you get a new piece to look at the actual notes, like it says quasi presto, so it's sort of fairly quick, but not sort of just so like you're blasting through it, and also because the Caprices as well, it's kind of like the timing doesn't have to be exactly on the metronome. It's more about building up your own feel for it. It's more human in that way. And once you're actually familiar with that theme of the Caprice 24, it's bringing out some of that haunting quality of it as well. I like the haunting quality that goes throughout a lot of the actual Caprices. So we're in 2/4 time as well, so it's kind of like a march theme, as in like a military march. And we're in A minor, which is like the relative minor of C. It means there's no sharps and flats other than those indicated. So let's get into it. Let's get started. So I've been working on this. I mean, like I say, it's good to go back to the actual score rather than just copying what other people have done. I mean, like there's been a few sort of rock and metal guys who've been trying to play it, but to be honest, for me, I think there's some of these they've sort of been eclipsed by the backing track. That they put like a real sort of metal background, like a metal backing on it, like with like the drums and sort of harsh guitars. So your attention is actually drawn away from the melody, whereas the whole point of using these as studies is that you work on the melody and it helps improve your actual phrasing and your expression, etc, etc. So starting on, I'm on this guitar today. You can use whatever guitar you want, but I'm going clean because I think that's just best, just for sort of learning to articulate the notes. And then you're not relying on the distortion, etc, etc. So we're starting A minor. So I'll play it fairly slowly. No, that's wrong for a start. You see, you might anticipate playing it like that, but that's wrong. So it's. If you just want to practice doing that. Yeah, so that's that first part of that melody, and then the next part we're dropping down here, so that's also A. Right. That's wrong. Yeah, I'll play that again. Yeah, So the whole thing is kind of... That was a bit sloppy actually. So you see what I'm doing? You know, they're like, I'm picking out parts of my playing where I'm not actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'm starting, when I see it's sloppy, then I'll go back and I'll window in on it. So and maybe put some variations in of your own. I don't mean the actual variations that are written here, but I mean just like... So maybe we just try it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. This is a way of helping you find your way around the fretboard. Yeah. Anyway, so that's like the first part. That's the main theme. The next variation, we're doing some arpeggios. Now, one of the things which really winds me up about like the shred, I did this video recently about like shredding guitar, where somebody will like, you'll learn like sweep arpeggios and they go, oh, I can do sweep arpeggios now, great, brilliant, and then they'll just do it all the time. Well, this like without actually learning how to control that or slow it down. So the variation 1 is actually based on some arpeggio. So we're still in A minor. So like the opening phrase of that. Yeah, it's an A minor arpeggio because like it's like that D minor shape, but you're moving it here. That note's A, has to be A. Yeah. And then there's this C note. That's a C minor shape. So sorry, that's the C. That would be C minor. Yeah, remember your basic cowboy chords. That's C. So C minor would be there, but you'd have to drop down to actually get it. Yeah. So it's worth familiarising yourself with those cowboy chord shapes as well, because like once you know those, then you'll be able to like learn about sticking them together and forming the arpeggio. So anyway, getting back to this. So yeah, so that's the first part. And then we drop down here to E minor. Yeah, because it's good just to help you, like, you know, find your way around the fretboard, as I was saying. So the thing about this is because it's like you're combining different picking techniques. You're not just blasting through sweep picking it. Yeah, and you can actually emphasise different notes in the arpeggio. You know, like the first note, obviously. Then what we're going to do, we're moving up to here, which is, so we're playing an A minor. It's an A It's an A major arpeggio. So we're going, well, they're starting on this C sharp note here. Now it might be a bit of a stretch for you, but I'm using my little finger and I'm doing this technique with my thumb as well, just to help you get the stretch. And then we're dropping down here to D. So we're playing a D. So it's, and then we're moving here to B, but it's actually playing this. It's a G arpeggio. We're playing this B note here. Dropping down to C, and it is actually a C arpeggio we're playing. Yeah, so we're going. Now, because you can do that, or you can go. Now, if you do that, it sets yourself up for the next part. So. And then we're doing this this diminished part. Now I've had to take a little bit of a liberty with this. It's not exactly as it's written. Yeah. So yeah. So. So just give you that. So that's an F. Yeah. So have you got all that? So I'll just play it through once more. So that's wrong. Right. So I'm just gonna play that through again. So. Right, and then we're moving on to the second variation. Now this is a really good exercise just to loosen your fingers up. Ooh, a matron. But it's just instead of doing like chromatic picking exercises, I like to do this one because it really gets those. It really gets that articulation going. So we're starting on A again. So we're going. Yeah. And then as in the main melody. So I'll play that again. So, I mean, if you just practice doing that. So, because like, you'll find that the more you're doing that, the more it'll build up your picking stamina. So you can go from fast to very slow, and slow to very fast. And you can control the volume as well. And then you can try playing it. Because then you can when you can actually use that as like an improvisation thing. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it with those 3 parts, because I mean I'll just play that second variation. Play it through again. Oh, we got that wrong. Yeah, I mean, even though I'm making some mistakes here, because like the camera's running and everything else, but the whole point of it is to have some fun with it, and I find as well when I'm reading some music like this, and you go back, it's a well-known piece, but you're going back to it and finding it yourself. It's like reading a book, Don't know if you ever had this sort of enjoyment when you're reading a book, where like, that the characters and the scenery, it's all formed in your imagination. It's a lot more vivid to you than say if you went to see it at the cinema or wherever. And so likewise, when you're actually just going back to like the music, it's coming from you. It's more genuine, rather than just copying somebody else. Why would you want to copy somebody else? That said, of course, you will find you'll be bringing some of your influences in as well. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it here for today. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see some more of these type of videos, please let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.